My name's Dominic, and I'm here with our next person behind the passion, and this is Amy too. Hello, Amy.
Hello, Dominic. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia.
Thank you. Good evening from Chicago, Illinois.
Wonderful. It's going to be the sun.
First of all, I want to say thank you for accepting my nomination for Person Behind the Passion, because I think you're very deserving. I've been watching you. No, wait, was it? Yeah, it was you. It was me that nominated you, right?
Yes, you nominated me.
I was thinking it might have been Linda, but no, it wasn't.
So, yes.
It was me.
Well, I can't nominate you in your own program.
There you go. Let's do that. Would you interview me?
I would love to.
You could be the host and I'll be the interviewee.
Yes. All right, that's our next program. All right, everyone, stay tuned.
Deal.
High five.
Okay. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. This is the program is called Person Behind the Passion, and what I get to do is I get to interview cool people like Amy. And I met Amy through Linda. Linda, what's her last name? Linda Huang. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, Linda.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you kind of have a similar story to hers, right? You left. You were a little girl and you got left Vietnam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is the whole story. So Amy's passion is about growing community. Your husband and you and your husband have a restaurant called Amore Mexico. There in Melbourne. And there's a whole story behind that we're all going to hear. And I'm going to ask you some not so personal questions, because this is called Person Behind the Passion. We want to know who this woman is passionate about building communities in Melbourne, Australia.
Awesome. Well, Well, first of all, before I start talking, I just want to say thank you, Dominic. I'm so grateful and thankful for your nomination. Look, we've only met twice, but somehow we just connected. And it's such an honor and privilege to be part of your program, to know you as a person. And, ask away. Let's have a great time and have an amazing conversation.
I'm in. I'm totally in. So those of you, and you're very welcome. I mean, you're right. This is like our third meeting. So for those of you who don't know what the Self-Achievement Network is, we're a group on Facebook. We've got about 3,100 people. And then there are some smaller little hubs out connected to us. So we're like a wheel. And what we do is, our whole purpose, the reason why we exist, is to improve our world for all of us. So all of these passionate people that are members of the group, I get to interview them. They get to the opportunity to either discover their passion. That's what this Institute for Self-Achievement is about. I've got a program that's called Life Plan that I teach people how to transform their life. And then I get to interview people and they get to share about their passion. And then these little subgroups out here, they get to grow their passion and evolve their passion, what they love to do, because they're genre specific. So we've got a group that's about health and fitness. There's another group that's about business planning and development, a marketing group, a music group, a parenting group, a leadership group, and there's several others. So that's what we are. And so we're here today. We're going to hear Amy's story. She's going to start off by telling us a little bit about her and in general. How did this passion come about building community?
This passion of mine, community building, I think it's very organic in some way, but at the same time, I feel like it's always been part of me. As you probably know and all know, I was born in Vietnam, but my mum and dad are Chinese Vietnamese, and my grandmother was French. So in terms of, multi-ethnicity, it's part of who I am. And I left Vietnam as a refugee when I was one, and traveled.
Wow.
Well, when I say travel, it wasn't only the luxury travel. I escaped for survival, right, to China, and then went to Hong Kong, and then came to Melbourne when at the age of 4. So in terms of, the instability, that was part of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Wow.
and at the same time, what I realized, what kept me grounded, and bless my parents, they brought me up in the value of family and community. So it's always been part of me. But now, how I run my restaurant, and I have a Mexican restaurant. On face value, it's a Mexican restaurant, but it's a platform. It's a platform to build communities. It's about people of all abilities. So yeah, it's my business model is very eclectic, just like me. And it now more than ever, it highlights the importance of connections, of creations, celebrations of people. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you and I are very similar about building communities,
Yeah.
and having this platform where people can live out their dreams. And you can see the quote, it's not dream until your dreams come true.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
love that. Here, go
yeah.
like that. Tilt your head so we
This
can
way?
see it.
Not that way.
Dream until your dreams come true. That's true. Keep
Yeah.
dreaming. Take action. Do it. Make them happen.
Do it. Just do it. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Mm.
so this really is inbred in you from day one with your parents and uh,
Yes.
family unit. It's interesting because same thing with me. I mean, I was brought up in a family we didn't go to church, and one day when I was
Mm.
like in my mid-teens, I said to my father, we were out in the backyard on this wooden swing, going back and forth, and I said, Dad, I said, all my friends go to church, and how come we don't go to church? And I said, I'm like, what is our religion? And he went like this. He goes, this is our religion right here, our family. We
Mm.
take care of each other.
Mm.
This is it. You love
Mm.
your sister, your brother, you help them out. You do all this stuff, and then we have neighbors, and then the neighbors, we help our neighbors out too. He said that's our religion. I was like, oh, okay.
It's beautiful, right? As you tell this story, it reminded me of one of my childhood. When we came to Melbourne, we didn't have much, right? Mum and dad pretty much had a suitcase. That was it.
Wow.
But I remember on weekends, we didn't have enough money even to buy tables, but we had friends. Mum and dad were socialites in their own way. And on weekends, in the lounge room, we'll just lay out picnic rugs, plastic picnic rugs, and there'll be in Asian culture we call my parents and aunties and uncles, and everyone will bring something and we'll just cook, and so it'll be like an orchestra, literally like an orchestra. There'll be one group of people washing, and then there'll be people with cooking, and then we'll just share. We'll all sit around the table. I mean, not table, the rug on the floor,
Oh my
and
God.
that was my weekend.
Yeah.
And that was amazing time. Yes. And that is what I love even till now, coming together, seeing people connecting face to face and sharing over food. Beautiful.
Hmm.
Absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm.
And I don't think it's so uncommon because I mean I think a lot of people have the same experience, and
Mm.
that's how it was in my family. It was always people bringing stuff to a location somewhere, but we didn't sit on the floor. We had a porcelain table, and my grandmother, when I would go visit, sometimes she would take the pasta and she would pour it on top of the table, and we would just sit there. And
Really? Wow.
isn't that crazy?
Well, when mum and dad have these, weekend parties, right? Seriously, there'll be like 30, 40 people in a small apartment. Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't, yeah, yeah,
So
you
you
have
don't remember
tax
anything?
holidays.
Yeah.
Pardon?
So
Well,
then you don't remember anything really about Vietnam at the age of
no,
one.
I left at the age of 1, even though I went back there when I was 20.
Oh, really?
And yes, at that time, I had a desire to go back to my homeland where I was born. And people say, say, oh, you should go back to your homeland, find your roots, and find that connection. I was at a stage in my life where I feel like something was missing, right?
Hmm.
And at that time, Alan's my husband. At that time, we were dating, and I couldn't speak. Well, I can speak a little bit of Vietnamese, but not enough. And I said, "Come on, babe. We'll go. We'll go back to Vietnam." And now it's interesting. Before I left, I said, "Mum, I'm gonna visit. I'm gonna go back to our house. Because we still have a house there, right? But when we left, we just left everything." And she doesn't know the address. We don't have addresses, right? And she said, find this person who still lives up in Hai Phong, which is the north of Vietnam, and he will take you to our house. And I went, okay. So I've never met this person. Hop on the plane. Somehow we got his address, and he said, yes, I will take you to your house, the place I was born. And this is, yeah, I was 21, and I went there. I got there. I went to the street. And I said to Alan, Alan, I just need a moment to myself. Because I was, it's quite emotional. Even though I didn't have childhood memories, but it's just something about making that effort and to go back there.
Hmm.
So I stood in this double-story house, right? And we couldn't go in because the family lives there. And I was in tears. I just had tears, and I went, okay, I think I'm home. But anyway, so we took the photos, and I was so proud of myself because I was the first child out of five to go back to see my house, the house I
Wow.
was born in. Now, there's a twist to this, right? So I took all these photos, processed it. Back then it wasn't digital, so it was all Kodak photos. And I showed it to my mum and dad. And you know what she said, Dominic?
No.
Okay, you're gonna laugh, right? And she said, whose house is this? She said, whose house is this? And I go, what do you mean? Isn't this our house? It turned out I was about a few houses away from my actual. However, the sentiment was there. So oh my god.
Oh, that's
So, so
funny. Yeah, that is
I was
funny.
at it's funny, but I was at the right street. But it was funny, so I was crying in someone's house. But that's okay. So, anything is possible. The universe has a sense of humor.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I know this feeling that you're talking about because my family they're all Sicilian.
Mm,
So I'm the only one in my family that ever flew over there unannounced,
mm,
went to the downtown of this little town called Castelvetrano,
mm.
found the records of where my ancestors were living, and they make a phone call and connected me with my cousins that live there. They have a farm. They grow grapes and lemons and limes, and they also
Mm,
have olive groves. And they invited us
mm,
to their home. And then when I got there, on their furniture, they had these photographs of people
wow.
in the family that they hadn't seen for a long time. My grandmother's photo was on that thing there. So it was like
Wow.
going back to finding the roots of where my grandmother and grandfather were born. And that feeling is
Wow.
amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, even though you were in the wrong house, I mean,
It's okay. I was in the right street in the right country. I was close, Dominic. I was
that's,
close enough.
there you go.
But but if anything, it taught me is the importance of history,
Yeah.
right? Knowing where we come from, going back to our roots. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think it's a foundation to work from. It doesn't define us, not all of us, but I think for me, what I thought, I went through a stage as a teenager where I just denied everything, right? My
Yeah.
past. But as I age, as I grow older, I find value. I find the value of history.
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit.
Mm.
I can
Oh,
hear
and
you, but
here.
it's breaking up
Is
a
that
little bit.
better?
So I don't know if it's. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, okay. All right. Just give me do that, and then I'll see if I can make something happen.
Yeah,
Is that better? Thumbs
it's
up?
not perfect,
No?
but it's better.
Okay. We will roll.
Yeah, what you could do
Mm.
is you can log out and log back in. That helps.
Shall we try that?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Okay.
It'll continue to record. It'll be fine. So she's going to come back. She's still worried. You're back. Uh-oh. She'll come back. It's still recording. It sometimes it'll, sometimes it does that, and we're, I don't know, 8,000 miles away. So think about that. The technology is amazing. We may be going through a satellite. I don't think we're going in a cable underneath the ocean, but whatever it is, guys, whoever invented this whole technology thing, thank you, because this is amazing. A little bit of a glitch here and there, not a big deal. But so she was born in Vietnam. She left because of the whole tattered insanity that was happening to that country during that time. And I remember as a child watching this horror unfolding on TV in front of my eyes. It was, I think, the whole world watching this thing. We were all so scared for the Vietnamese people, North and South, and no matter what was going on. That was war is just so like unbelievable. And of course, yeah, her parents left. A lot of people left. They had to. They had no other choice. Grabbed their suitcase and left. Can you imagine leaving a house with everything in it that you've worked for? And how crazy. How crazy is that? So it's an amazing story that she has, and now she has a restaurant. Her and her husband are um, helping to grow community there, community of people. I know she's got some things that she's going to share with us that she told me earlier. I try not to learn too much about my guests because I love to be just as surprised as you do. So anyway, so thank you again for joining us and for being here and supporting the Self-Achievement Network. If you know of someone that is deserving of an interview, please send them my way. There's Amy. She's back. I can hear you, yes, and it sounds better, actually.
Okay, I'm gonna walk and find a place.
Okay.
I love technology. Okay.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. All
Can
right.
you still hear me?
I can, yes.
Is that better, sound-wise? Do you know this lockdown, everyone is at home?
I don't watch a lot of news, but I know you're in lockdown, and there's a few other countries that are in lockdown, and I did not enjoy it. I mean, I didn't have a big problem with it, but I didn't like the being restricted.
It depends on your definition of lockdown. What's your definition of lockdown? Because every country is different, right?
Well, when we had it here in our state, we were just only allowed to go to the grocery store and get gas, and that was it.
Yes, so no grocery shopping or apart just that, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Okay, there you are. Now you look perfect.
Oh my goodness, Dominic, you're in my bedroom. That didn't come out right, did it?
It's wherever the router is located, it's working perfectly.
Okay. All right. Okay, here I am.
So you had typed in there.
What did I type?
Mexico. AMOR. Wait, Amor, Mexico.
Amor? Yes.
So co-founder,
co-founder.
Co-founder and co-creator. You're the creator.
Co-creator, because I always say Amor belongs to the community.
Yeah.
So we're co-creating, right?
Let's talk about that a little bit, because when you were gone, I was kind of doing a little recap, and I was telling them a little bit about the restaurant, that you're working on something that's really amazing in the background to build more community and with art. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. I've been doing so many crazy projects. But one thing out of this pandemic, I always say, COVID is a fertile ground for creative people, right? So I've been running my restaurant for now 17 and a half years.
Wow.
Okay. And we were in our first premise for 16 years. And to cut a long story short, we pretty much outgrew the premise. And I said to Alan, it's time to move. Having said that, at the time, everything was going well. The business was doing well. We had a community base. And so most people would say, why would you? Why would you move? But when it feels right to grow, can you hear me, Dominic? Is it okay?
You're fine.
That's great. Just give me a like that, and then I'll move somewhere. I don't know where. So we decided to relocate. And interestingly enough, from the time we finished up the lease in our old premise to finding our new premise in Blackburn, Melbourne, there was a 4 months gap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine trying to run a restaurant where you don't have a physical premise. You can't even offer food because we're homeless.
Right.
What do you do? What do you do? How do you keep the community engaged? Right? So I came up with a crazy idea, and I told the community on Facebook, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. But every Monday, 7 p.m., I'm going to be with you, wherever I am. And we call it Mexican Monday. I don't know. It was just something fun,
Uh-huh.
And it was one of the best times, Dominic, because
Really?
we were on a journey. And I remember, my husband said, he goes, Amy, who's going to hop on Facebook with you at 7 o'clock on a Monday? I said, I don't know. I'll just turn up, and whatever happens, happen. We had an online community. So throughout that 4 months period, we looked at places, we went in everywhere I was on live. I said, okay, people, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And so
these are the patrons, the people that came to the restaurant, the regulars. Yeah. So you're taking them on your phone, and you're showing them the locations that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Getting their opinion.
Yeah. and at the same time, I was just sharing my story.
Right.
There is this is what I learned, and so far, there's so much to learn in life, right? Some people, when they hop on social media or whatever, everything needs to look perfect. For me, it's not. For me, it's just being organic, being real, and be authentic. Mm-hmm. There will be days on a Monday where I go, I don't know how I feel. I don't know what are we doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just being real, just be real and raw. So anyway, cut a long story short, the community chose the premise. I mean, all it had was a canvas, Dominic. It was just a skeleton.
Okay.
And when I stood there, I looked at the front. It was just a brown fence. I looked on my left. It was just a grey lane. And I said, I'm not going to work like this. So I started talking with my customers. I said, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing, right? We got this place, Community Lane. I just had a name, Community Lane. And one of the customers said, he goes, Amy, do you know, if you put a sign, it says Community Lane, right, physically on that lane, if no one protests, you can name it Community Lane. And I went, really? Right. So I put this little sad piece of paper, and I'll tell you why it's sad. So I stuck it on the wall, not practical, right? And it rained, and this was COVID. No one was there. It was out of the movie, right? And it was just floating. It was just floating down the gutter. And one of my customers saw it. So sad. He secretly made a street sign, says community lane.
What?
Yeah, and so I have a window display. So I said I can't stick it up because legally I can't, right? So we're sitting at the shop front, little window, like a little lost puppy, just waiting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so a few months passed, and COVID hit, and there was an election at that time, for the council, and I had so much.
I remember the election, yeah.
Yeah, the council.
Okay.
And at that time, I'm thinking, hold on, I'm a business person in that area. I live there. I'm going to just share my vision of this council. So I approached that candidate, and we had the best conversation of his vision and my vision, and we aligned it. And it was aligned, and it just felt perfect. And I told him about Community Lane. And it turned out not only he won the election, the state, for that council, he became the mayor. and then, during COVID, one of the beautiful things about Victoria is they really support small businesses, especially outdoor dining. And so somehow, miraculously, the universe, gifted me the opportunity to, create Community Lane. So now I've got this huge mural, and then there's an outdoor area with turf and benches. And, when the sun's out, people just sit there and enjoy. And that's just one of the crazy ideas I did with the community. But it would not be possible if it wasn't for the people who believed in the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great story. And it's not just a story, it's a reality. That's what's so cool about it.
And, the thing is, before it becomes a reality, it all starts with dreams. And where do dreams come from? Thoughts. Someone just have to start. And when we have enough people to believe in it, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Anything is possible. We may not see it, but it takes some crazy fun people to believe in it.
Yeah, that's true. And, I've worked with people for many, many years after doing a lot of personal work on myself and having my own businesses and then selling them off, and one of them going bankrupt.
Mm-hmm. I've been there, not totally bankrupt. I had $1,000 in my bank account. Yeah.
Oh, I have you beat by, I had 384.
Okay, you win.
It's the same category, though.
It feels the same. It still feels the same.
Totally does. But, it was a dream. It's always a risk. And I knew that even though that happened to me, that something was going to be I was going to do something next that was going to be even bigger.
Yes. And we'll be okay. Everything
Totally
will be okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I had 2 health clubs, 600 and some odd members, and in one, and then 385 in another one. And then we had the housing crisis hit in 2009. And all the members decided, not all, we lost 40% in 2 months of our members. And then the checkbook went, I was like, oh my God, this isn't happening. And then I was really angry at all the people that screwed it up all over the world and blew the housing prices up and all this scandalism stuff. And oh my God.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's just a risk. But the dream is to have something that we've created, like you're doing with the restaurant and having the community. We had the community of our members that were there. We used to have parties at the club and, all kinds of stuff going on. So I love what you're doing. It's really it's very down to earth.
Grassroots.
Yeah.
Grassroots approach.
Absolutely.
That's how it starts. That's how we grow trees, right? When you look at nature, it starts with the seed. And before we can see the sprout, it starts with the root.
Yeah.
It's the foundation. It's our beliefs. You know,
Absolutely.
it's interesting you mentioned about, financial crisis, money, right? Yes, money is important. We need it to survive. But one thing, that I went through a few years ago, that is what highlights more than money is our health. Yeah, our health. I've had family members who had health crisis. I even had my husband who had a health crisis. Almost lost him.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I was at a stage where it felt so real that I could be a single parent with two teenagers. And I remember one night, we just sat there in our bed and we just talked before, we went through so many specialists, and what specialists are like. You do tests, you're not knowing. It's almost like trial and error, right? It's a process of elimination.
Right.
And we discuss it. The possibility. And I remember I said to Alan, and I said, whatever happens, and this is my motto in life since I was a teenager. I said, whatever happens, I will be okay. Money comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the doctors will look after you, and I'll be there. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens, we will be okay.
Yeah.
It was such a relief. I think, you're a family man, you're a grandpa, you want to know that your loved one will be okay, no matter what. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that taught me how precious and fragile life can be. And we can respond in different ways. We can, just hide under the doona and go, oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God. Or, okay, all right, universe, I'm here, I'm ready. You're not going to give me something I can't handle.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And yeah, so it's, whatever's happening in this world, it will be fine. Go out and live your life.
That's really true. I mean, that's what we have to do. I think that that's one of the big lessons that I learned, is that if I don't live my life, it's going to go by, and then I'm going to look back and say, why didn't I live my life? Take risk.
Let's start from, from mistakes and regrets.
Well, that's one of the biggest things. I always say the thing that I've always ran from, we talk about, people that become alcoholics because they're avoiding part of their life. Well, I'm avoiding the R word, regret. I'm not into for that stuff. I'm not having any of that regret. And I've got a few of them, but I'm not doing them no more. I'm done.
Yeah. And I always say, as long as I don't harm anyone, as long as it's not illegal, right, I'll do it.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go back to when you were in grade school and high school. Do you have any grade school, you went to school in Australia, in Melbourne, right?
From kindergarten. Yes.
From kindergarten.
That's what I call it. Yeah. Is that what you call it in the States? I don't know.
Yeah, kindergarten. What do you have any good childhood memories from grade school and then?
Gosh, I went through a lot of schools because we moved a lot. So kindergarten, and then I went to 3 primary schools.
Wow.
Yeah. So it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot in terms of how to be friendly in order to friends. Right. But at the same time, I experienced bullying when I was young too, because back then I was one of the minority. Oh, when I talk about minority, I remember one particular primary school, there was probably a few hundred students, right, from prep to grade 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only one of 10 Asian kids.
Okay.
So I learned how to adapt. I learned how to use my strength to my advantage. Yeah. So, yeah, but
you have to. It's interesting that it happens at that young age, And yeah, I mean, we had it in our school. I was in a predominantly white school, and there were, I think, maybe 2 Asians in our school.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had any weird feelings or thoughts about them at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of jealous, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were special. They were different.
We're all special. Yes. I love, yeah, well, it's, if what it really taught me is the power of compassion, the power of kindness, the power of understanding.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I learned also, I mean, I'm at a ripe old age of 62. I realized that, you know, we're all different. And
Outside. Yeah.
outside, and we're all different outside. We're all the same on the inside, basically. And the difference is, like, I was in a workshop one time and I was listening to this guy speak, and he said, you know, the truth is that we're all different and we're all the same. And I was like, that's kind of weird, right? I hadn't heard that before. You know, he's like, well, tell me one thing about you that's different than everybody else.
Mm.
So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm listening to some other people say, well, I was born in a different house with a different family than everybody else. So then he said, okay, everybody, you would agree, right? Everybody that's different, right? So how many of you were born and brought up in a different house with a different family? Everybody in the room raised their hand.
Wow.
And I said, and then he said, what's different about that?
Yeah.
And I was like, nothing. It's all the same.
Yeah. It is interesting, right? We're kind of alone, but we're not really alone. Yeah.
We're all on our
own journey. Yeah.
We're all on our own journey together.
Correct. Absolutely. We're all on our own journey, but together. And
so when you were in high school, were you a shy type, or were you crazy and outgoing, or did
what do you think, Dominic?
I have a funny feeling that you were a little bit nuts. Outgoing.
Really? Do you know, I was actually quite shy. I was mute
Really?
until I was 18.
Now you're not shy at all.
Oh, I'm trying to make up for the years. Yeah. I was your typical. When I say it's interesting, I remember growing up, I was almost living a double life, right? So when I'm with my family, I play this role, right? And then when I go to school, I play this role, and then somewhere in between, I'll try to find out myself. But yeah, I was nerdy. I still am, but in a different way, right? But 18 was my turning point. Somehow I went a bit crazy, you know, I let loose. I traveled first time in my life, because in Australia, you can have your passport at the age of 15.
Okay.
And I said, 18, I'm just going to go overseas. Yes. And 18 was the year when I went to university and I joined a youth group, and that's how I found my passion of performing arts.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So I'm always evolving and changing, but there's always the core value of me. I value freedom, I value creativity, and definitely I value creations, and connections.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do now, even though in different projects.
Mm-hmm. So when you went to the university, what was your major?
Psychology, community psychology.
Psychology. So you're a psychic, or you're a psycho?
Psycho.
I always tell people, yeah, I studied psychology. I'm a psychotic.
I'm psychotic, yeah. But people think I'm psychic. Psychotic, please, psychic.
And you'll never.
But at that time, I was the first cohort to do community psychology. It was never a thing. Mind you, this was like, oh my God, 30 years ago. But when you think about it now in this world, it's all about community, just without the word psychology.
That's right.
Well, like in full circle. Yeah.
It's right. It's like we are one big community, whether we like it or not. It's just, do we ever talk enough? You know, you know how in some families, right? They, like in my family, we've gone through these different waves, especially in our older years, where we don't talk to each other very much. And then I realized the reason why we don't talk is because we don't talk.
And that's okay too.
And then when we get together and we talk, everything is like back to normal. And then we talk for a little bit, and then we kind of fall apart. But then it's like, you haven't called me in a month. I'm like, well, you haven't called me in a month either.
You know, it's so interesting you talk about that, because I have a sister who lives about 20 minutes from me, right? But because of this COVID thing, I can't visit her. And I have a sister who's interstate in Sydney. And I don't know. And I remember we have this WhatsApp group, you know, WhatsApp, right? So,
Sure.
And us three girls, we're different, but same in some way. Like, I'm part of the group, but I don't talk as much. I just, you know, I'm a floater. So anyway, one day my sister Betty from Sydney, she literally called me up. She said, Amy, you have not spoken to us. And I go, no, I'm part of the group. He goes, no, Amy, you're part of a family. Okay, I got it. So it's a commitment. I think, you know, in any relationship, it's a commitment. It takes time. It takes time to build a relationship. And for me, you know, I don't take anyone for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why psychology? What was the?
You know, when I was high school, I would take pure maths and pure science, because that is what was expected.
Right.
I was never interested, right? And when I looked through the courses, the only thing that kind of popped my mind, and I'd never studied psychology, and I went, people, human behavior. Okay. That was it.
That was
I
it.
kind of fell into it. I wasn't one of those people who goes, oh my goodness, you know, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. I'm going to follow this lane. Nah. I always follow my gut feeling.
Yeah.
I go, okay, this feels right. And it was nothing what I expected. Nothing. Yeah.
So you studied psychology to kind of get to understand what people are all about, and then you became more confused.
Yeah. I worked in the field, but I wasn't mature enough, emotionally mature enough to deal with people, right? But now I can appreciate my study and my lectures. Yeah.
So you did work for a little while in that field?
I did a bit of everything. Oh gosh, I was a counsellor. I was a youth development worker. I was a community development worker. I worked for the government. I work in the private sector. Yeah. Yes.
And now you're a restaurant.
I burn out. Pardon?
And now you're yeah.
Yes.
It's easy to burn out on that. I mean, I worked with people for 30 years myself, and after a while, it's just like I've heard every problem that ever existed on the planet, and I realized that there's some people that they just don't want to change.
And you know what I've made peace with, for me, purely for me, I never see people with problems now. Because when I identify as a problem, it's almost like I have to fix it. I'm at a stage where I believe things happen for a reason, and it's for our own growth. And everyone has their own time and space. Some just takes more time, but it's always perfect timing for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
that's my approach with my children who are teenagers now. I've got an 18 and a 16. And I trust them. I believe them. I mean, they have to earn their trust. Don't get me wrong. That I believe they will find their way.
Yeah.
And the only way to find the way is to explore.
Well, you know, I was always under the the understanding about parenthood for me was that my job as a parent was to work and support my children until they could support themselves.
Mm, mm,
And after that, and I'm not one of those tough love people. However, I'm not an enabler at all. I'm like, figure it out.
mm.
Figure it out. And if you want some advice, ask me. I think the most underused tool in the world is doing this. I have a question. I need help with something. Raise your hand. When my dad was not a real educated guy,
Mm,
and
mm, mm.
he was brilliant. He was an artist. He was he was a woodworker in that way. Anyway, he used to say when I would come home with my report card and it didn't have the best grades, there were C's or D's on there, he would say, "So did you raise your hand?" I'm like, no, no. And he said, raise your hand when you don't understand something. That's what the teacher's there for you to raise your hand and ask a question. So then I started raising my hand and my grades went up miraculously.
It's interesting, I always believe, I always believe children are natural geniuses. When you look at kids, when they're young, right? There are so many questions. There are so many questions when it get to the point that goes, oh my God, I'm going crazy.
Right.
And we suppress that. We suppress that level of curiosity. We suppress their creativity. And we try to mold them into something that we want. And then we ask, what do you want? And they don't know, right? I had a wake-up call. I had a wake-up call with my eldest, Ethan. Ethan's my eldest son. And this is when he was in prep, so when he was 5. I remember driving him to school. He was sitting at the back, and I was driving at the front. And he said something to me, and he said, Mum. And he goes, Mum, he goes, if I don't get all A pluses, will you still love me? That hurt. That was a big wake-up call, Dominic. And I said, what have I done wrong? And that was my journey of learning how to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I had to grow myself. I had to unlearn a lot of things. I'm in tears now, because it still hits me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an interesting phase in my life. And then I got into parenting workshops and about emotional intelligence. And what I come to realize is my children does not belong to me. They are individuals, and I can only do my best. My hope as a parent is to raise independent young people.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I do.
Right.
Yeah. Children are the great teachers. They're the best
They
teachers.
are. They're the best ones. Yeah. Especially the little ones.
I went, oh my goodness. But, there's a saying that apple never fall from the apple tree.
What's interesting is that, so I have worked with people for many, many years. And like I was saying, our job as of a parent is to support their children until they can support themselves.
Mm.
And then once we let that responsibility go,
Mm.
child then begins to go backwards sometimes. And they're like, but I need your support more than now than ever. And, like I have met people over time where the child gets upset at the parent for not supporting them the way that they used to. But that's the way life is,
May I share a thought? May I share my thought on that?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
The word support, and this is only from my experience, I realize now I ask myself when my boys come to me or when they want to, right? I always think, okay, what is it that they want from me? How can I serve them? Because my definition of support may not be what they want. So I never assume. I always ask, okay, so is there anything I can do for you? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, nope, okay, maybe they just want a pair of listening ears.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there are times where they just go, Mum, can you just go buy food? Okay, if that is the definition of support today, and I'll go, can you be specific, sweetheart? Food. What's food? You know, and sometimes they don't want to tell you, and that is still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of food, so you and your husband were running this restaurant. When you guys go out to dinner, where do you go? I mean, there are other, obviously there's other restaurants, but do you ever get to do that, to go to other restaurants?
Oh, when pre-COVID or when we're allowed to? I love food. I love exploring food. Alan and I, you know, we love going to try Vietnamese food. We go, you know, with friends. We try Turkish food, Nepalese food, any food.
Any food.
Yeah, love to explore. Because you never know ideas, right? Ideas. Yes.
Do you have a go-to? Like you're at home and you're like, oh, I want.
It's probably more Alan, not me. You know, we have this Vietnamese restaurant, which is probably 30 minutes drive. And there's only one particular dish. It's Vietnamese broken rice. So it's with pork chop and these pickled veggies. And it's just home style food.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing fancy, but it's his go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's his comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. Every time we go to that restaurant, four of us, I've got two boys, husband and I, we pretty much have our own favourite dish. We don't even need to look at the menu. I go, yep, that's what we want.
It's the same thing every single time.
For the last I don't know how long. Yes.
It's the same. It's the same. We're all the same.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's pretend. So you go to a restaurant, right? And your husband knows you. And you say, no, honey, order something for me. She says, would you like something to drink? You say, yeah. And he says, what do you want? No, just order something for me. What do you think he would order you? What kind of a drink?
Do you know what? As you ask that question, I'm giggling inside.
Why?
Once upon a time, right? I mean, we've been married for 21 years.
Okay, congratulations.
The first 5 years, right? You know, I'm so different now, you know. Gosh, I've been married for 21 years. At the beginning, I would expect him to order for me. And for some reason, it's never right or what I want, even though secretly this is what I want. And we always end up in arguments, always, 9 out of 10 times. So now, just to keep the peace, you know, it's like I've just learned, I'm just going to order it myself. It's not very romantic, but it's very practical. It saves a lot of marriage counselling. I bet you. It's true.
But you're a psychotic. You could figure it out, right?
Yeah, in my psychotic way, of course.
Do you have a favorite genre of music that you go to?
Oh, I'm a bit of eclectic. I like a bit of pop. Lately, I've been listening. Oh, do you know what I love? I love listening. I hope I pronounce his name right. This Croatian cello player, Hauser, Hauser. Hauser, yes. So
Croatian?
He's Croatian. Yes. I'll send you the link next one time. Yes.
Okay, send it to me.
What's
Australia named Hosier?
Pardon?
Who's the Australian guy that his last name is Hosier? Housier? Hosier? Hosier.
He's Australian?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, you know more Australian things than me. I don't know.
Oh, the Midnight Oil? Oh my gosh.
Oh my, yes. Oh, is he still alive?
AC/DC? Who doesn't know AC/DC?
Dominic, I don't think we should start a rumor. I think he's still alive.
Yeah. No, but Midnight Oil was they are still one of my favorite bands in the world. I love those
He's
guys.
Brilliant, man. He's a social activist too, apparently. Yeah.
Powerful guy. He speaks his mind for sure.
I admire people who speaks their mind. It takes courage to speak the mind.
It does.
Fear. But we all need more of people like that.
Well, that's like,
if we all just speak our mind.
well, we have I think we have the freedom legally to do that, but socially, I don't think it's.
Nah, I know. This
Is-
world of dichotomies.
Yeah. But do you think in your constitution, in the Australian constitution, do you have freedom of speech?
Yes and no. And and this is just my opinion. I don't think it just only applies to Australia, but I think as global citizens, as living in this Mother Earth, we have this illusion that we somehow can speak. We have freedom of speech only if it's acceptable to the mass.
There you go.
Therefore, I believe those who speak their mind without imposing onto others are the brave warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. And that's why I truly admire people. There are many people out there who are very humble. They have this quality of able to deliver their message without the fear of judgment, at the same time without imposing onto other people. That to me is freedom.
And that's a skill. It takes time to learn that.
It's a skill and also it's an intention.
Yeah.
If our intention is to communicate, and it's interesting about the concept of communication. Some people speak only to preach.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't even know how to listen. They only hear in order to not thinking how to reply.
Mm-hmm.
It would be wonderful if we can all start with the intention to understand before being understood, of one of Dale Carnegie, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
and
was it somebody else? Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I understand. I mean, there's people, and I'm guilty of this, of not listening. I have been in that mindset of that, I don't listen, but I am a listener. I'm really good at it, actually.
You are.
I practice. And I'm not, I mean, I say I'm good at it, but I still am working on it. It takes a lot of concentration. Let me ask you this question. When's the last time you rode a bicycle?
Oh my goodness. A long time ago. Why?
Really?
Yeah.
You have to get
I'm
back.
more of a runner. I run. I prefer
really?
run. Yes.
Okay. So that's your go-to exercise is to go out and do some
And
jogging.
I've done the marathons. I've done a lot of crazy things. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us.
About the marathon, the Melbourne Marathon?
You've done one or you've done several?
No. Dominic, I'm a one-timer. Okay. Yeah, that's how I approach life. When I always see, whether I see people, admire something, I just go, I'm just going to see what it's like, and then I go and do it. And it's interesting how I got into running the Melbourne Marathon. I even did a ultra marathon, a 50K run, but that's another story in itself. I never exercised. Actually, I wasn't in very good health. I was obese, very unhealthy up until the age of 32.
Really?
So, oh yes. Yeah, I had chronic back pain. Yeah.
That's something
Overweight.
we don't know about you.
Well, I think the whole world knows now.
But obese, I mean, you're obese, or you're like kind of obese, chubby?
Chubby obese, like borderline, since I was a teenager. Yeah. So anyway, and I remember 32 chronic back pain because I was in the corporate world, and my boys were primary school kids. I go, I can't live like this. I'm only 30. So that's how I started exercising. Well, when the pain is so great, gosh, you got to change, right? So anyway, so I cut a long story short, and I said, I'm just going to run. I said, let me start with a 5 kilometer run. and I self-trained, and it took me 20 minutes, and I went, that's it? All that training for 20 minutes? I got 10. I said, I got ripped off. I got cheated. So the next year, I said, I'm going to do a marathon. Well, not next year, actually. Yeah. By the time I make a decision, I had 3 months to train for a marathon. I mean, that's me, right? When I make a decision. So I went, okay, I did search, and I went, I think I need a bit of help. I don't think I can prepare for a marathon in 3 months and running a restaurant, running a family. So I joined the gym, had a personal trainer, and I got hooked. Running, not a marathon, but just running
in general. That's great.
Because it's portable exercise. I just put on your harness and you run.
Yeah.
And you determine your own speed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I run, I can describe it, my emotional journey. It's when I run now, I spend probably a good 10 minutes as a warm-up, which is painful. The beginning is always painful because this is change. And then I get to a stage where I'm in my zone. And I relax. I start thinking. I get ideas when I'm running. I know it's a very strange thing. Yeah, but I remember the marathon. I'm like, in Melbourne Marathon. I don't know what the actual marathon around the world. It's 42.2 kilometers.
Okay.
And I went, oh my God, 42.2. How do I run 42.2? I went from 5Ks to 42.2 kilometers in 3 months, right?
No way.
Pardon?
That's a long way.
Yeah, just a tap with my 2 feet, right? Just running.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do any research on that day. And I remember, I had this image, oh my God, my singlet, my shorts, and it's November in Melbourne, which is supposedly spring, summer. Should be warm. It should be warm. Should be. But should doesn't mean it should be. No, it was one of the coldest and wettest time in marathon history. So it turned out it was bucketing rain. It was probably 3 degrees. I'm in my little singlet top. I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, so my mindset was, and while I was planning, I knew the route. There's 18 water stations. 18 water station. I said, Amy, just get to the next one. Just get to the next water station. Don't think of the 18 water station. Don't even think of the Melbourne Cricket Ground, MCG. Right? Get to the next water station. So anyway, now when I was training, the furthest I've run was 20 kilometers, which is only half. So my mind was, I can get to 20 Ks, but the rest, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I remember it was halfway mark and it was bucketing rain. I was so cold, Dominic. I couldn't feel my feet. I couldn't feel my limbs. I was just cold, and I'm at the beach of the places, right? And I said, I don't know. I had doubt. I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Am I going to catch a taxi cab, or what am I going to do? I was by myself. I didn't have a support crew. It was too early for my family to work. I was by myself. And I don't know if you've ever been that in a place where you feel like you're all alone. You're all alone. And I'm like, it's raining. I can't feel anything. I'm going to die from frostbites. And then something happened that made me finish the race. And as I was, by then I was just, I don't know, I don't think I was right. I was limping. I don't know what it was. I was just out of my body, right? These 2 ladies ran past me and they were wearing black T-shirts. And on the back of the T-shirts, it said Ethan something something. And it was the name Ethan. Obviously that person died because it was a year that he was born and he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
At that was my catalyst, because my eldest name is Ethan.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to run for my children. Yeah. And that's how I made half of the race. Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah, that was my marathon. It took me forever, but I finished it. There's a saying, no one remembers how we start. People remember how we finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my story of the marathon.
That's great.
Mm.
That's a great story. I mean, I was into running for a while, but mostly it's been bicycle and
You're a
tennis.
cyclist.
I'm a psychologist. Psychologist.
Yeah, okay, that word.
Psychologist. Yeah.
That sounds
I've been seriously been having riding bicycles ever since I was, this big, and
beautiful.
it's 3 to 4 times a week.
So that's your
That's
go-to
my thing.
place.
And the other thing is tennis. When I was in Sydney, I told you earlier that was one of the things that I did in the early mornings, and for like 3 weeks. I have a group of friends that we don't do it now, but we used to travel to all these different places: Mexico, Australia, England, you name it. We would all bring our tennis rackets
Wow.
and just play tennis for hours and hours.
How wonderful.
I played tennis on Koh Samui, the island of Koh Samui.
So did you take a photo of you and your tennis racket in every country?
No, I don't remember. There's some photos, but anyway.
But you have memories, right?
Yes, we definitely have memories. A lot of good memories. So
yes,
are you an avid reader? Do you like reading books?
I'm a book lover ever since I was a young child.
Uh-huh.
Yes, book was my place to escape. The library is one of my favorite places to go to, even now when we're allowed to, right? I admire great thinkers and great minds that are able to transform their thoughts or put their thoughts into pages. I love that.
Novels or more biographies or just anything?
I'll go through. I always enjoyed now they call it personal development. Always love. I love Napoleon Hill. I'm learning how to read Marcus Aurelius' The Meditation. I'm still learning how to read that. That's a different way of reading. It's written. I'm actually rereading some of the classics because I find a lot of the classics, all the life principles, it's still applicable.
Yeah, they are.
I'm in this book club, and I'm actually hosting. It's called The Alchemist. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone knows. Yes.
I have that book. I didn't read it.
You have it?
I have it. It was given to me as a gift, and I didn't read it.
When the time is right, you'll read it. I always find that the book chooses us. We don't choose the book.
I did one of these things,
Yeah.
and I glanced at a few. Oh, I have IKTA. Do you know this disease? IKTA. IKTA.
K-I.
It's I-K.
Yep.
T-A.
IKTA. What's that? Tell
IKTA.
me.
IKTA. I have this disease.
What's that? What's
I know that already. Disease.
I've got that too.
It's catchy. Don't get too close to me.
No. I'm already one of it. Bad luck. I've got the disease since I was small.
I know that. So somebody gives me a book and I just go.
That already. IKTA.
I'm like, I know that already.
It's an interesting book. It's a short little book. It's The Alchemist, The Psychology of Man's Possible Evolution. That looks interesting.
It's very interesting. It condenses 4 years of college psychology to a little book.
And it takes a lifetime to understand for me.
Well, I have the PDF version of this. So if you're interested, I can send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yes, send it to me. I'd love to discuss it.
Yeah, it's a really, really good book. And then my other go-to book. I know this is supposed to be about you.
Yeah, we're talking about books. Shambhala, the sacred patch of the warrior. Tell me about that.
This is a guy named Trungpa.
Right? Trungpa. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got this too on PDF. I think I even have it on an audio.
I'm not an audio person. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm a PDF. You know what? I love hard copy, but I can do PDF.
Well, this.
Oops. Yep. Yeah.
This is it's an interesting book because so the first chapter, How to Be a Warrior.
Yeah.
First chapter of whatever section, Creating an Enlightened Society.
Wow.
Discovering Basic Goodness. The Genuine Heart of Sadness. Fear and Fearlessness. Synchronizing Mind and Body. The Dawn of the Great Eastern Sun.
Wow.
The Cocoon. Renunciation and Daring. Celebrating the Journey and Letting Go. So that's the first part. And then there's two parts. Yeah, you would like that. I can send you the PDF too.
Yeah, it reminds me of as you're reading, the title or the content reminds me of the book, The Seed of the Soul by Gary. Oh God,
Zukav. Yeah, I've got that too.
I read a lot of books. I can't remember all of it, but sometimes when when you hear things, you go, "Oh yeah, remind me of this book." Oh yeah, this book. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is good. The first time that I was given this book, I read it, and then when I got to the last page, came back to the first page, and I read it 13 times in a row. And
it says a lot about the book.
And I've read it probably 30 times, so it's really good. I like my little posts that the last two posts that I did on Instagram were quotes from the book.
Beautiful. It's like the book The Alchemist. This is my second time. First time I just read it. I went, oh yeah, it's an adventure. Okay, I read the second time and I went, wow. Do you know there's some great books where you just have to read a sentence and it resonates, and that sentence can be expanded to a paragraph, and then you can also expand it to a book. It's all about great writers. They're able to condense into a sentence, and that's why I love quotes too. That's my other interest, quotes. Yeah, I love quotes. It's short, but it's so full of wisdom.
Yeah. Do you write? Yeah, you've written. I've seen them.
Quotes? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen your posts. Yeah.
I just share my thoughts. Just share. Just share.
I do that too. We have a lot in common.
I think we do.
Let me ask you this. So you mentioned that you did the jogging thing and all that stuff. Have you ever done crazy things like jumping out of airplanes or bungee jumping?
No. I don't jump out of airplane. I've done bungee jumping.
You have.
And that was because, pardon?
Bungee jumping petrifies me. I don't think I could do it. Not with my back.
You've jumped out of a plane, right, Dominic?
I did, yeah.
Okay, no.
Bungee jumping?
No. If you can jump out of a plane, bungee jumping is nothing. I would never jump out of the plane. Unless I have to save, I don't know, my kids or the planet, I would, but no. But the reason I went to do bungee jumping was I was hoping that if I confront my fear, I'll overcome it. There's a logic to that. Well, no, it doesn't apply. I'm still afraid of heights. I have no intention to jump to do bungee jumping again. Having said that, I enjoyed it. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a sense of freedom, just free falling.
I understand. It was the same thing with jumping out of a plane. I mean, I was always curious that I wanted to know what this feeling was. And I had to do it. I was one of those people. I knew that I was going to do it, and I was going to jump. And when I did, I instantly knew it was a bad idea.
It's a one way. I'm sorry. But, that's almost a wonderful metaphor for life, right? You're on the edge. We don't know what's on the other side until we jump.
Right.
Most of the time we'll be okay, and there are times when it's not a good idea.
But the sensation of going down.
That's adventure.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I look at it this way. When the courses that I teach people to look at 10 years of their life. So like the first, like it started, let's say life starts at 20, right? So plan your life from 20 to 25. And then when you get to 25, plan it from 35 to 45, from 45 to 55. And put in there, I tell people, put in there the experiences that you want to have. The life experiences that you want to have, like jumping out of a plane or, traveling someplace or, whatever it may be.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's all about the experiences. And so, yeah, I mean, jumping out of a plane, I mean, I passed out.
For how long?
I don't know. It's just a couple of seconds, but all I remember was that it was just like, no.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It was crazy.
But I'm sure you're glad you did it.
Yeah. How old were you when you jumped, bungee jumped?
Okay, I was in New Zealand. It was a trip with my girlfriend. That would have been in my mid-20s.
Okay.
So it's 20 years.
Do you have a favorite vacation spot?
Okay. When you say favorite, in terms of memories, experiences, how would you define favorite?
It's a good question. What's one or two of your most memorable vacations?
Well, the reason I say that, favorite could mean, oh God, what's the most crazy thing you've done? Or favorite goes, that was special, right? Okay. If it was in terms of crazy, on a scale of craziness, I would say Scotland is my favorite. It felt like home for me. But it's also, that was the time I hitchhiked in Scotland.
Really? You were single?
Yes. How did you guess that?
Experience.
I had to pause and said, was I single? Yes or no? Because I was with Alan, and when you're young, or when I was young, when the word commitment comes along and you went, oh, that sounds a bit scary. So, at that time I said, Alan, I think we should break up. I'm going overseas. So technically I was single, but not really. So Scotland was magical. I got dropped off at places where I don't know where I was, but I felt like I was in an enchanted forest. And I swam in this huge, gorgeous lake. It was amazing. I would love to go back to Scotland. So in terms of craziness, yes, I hitchhiked. I slept in a castle. I reckon it was haunted, I think. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that again, Dominic. I think, right now I'm happy living in hotels and resorts. In terms of memorable, I would say Mexico. It was a family trip. Yeah, we were in Cancun. We stayed in a resort, but I had the best time, speaking to the locals, catching local buses, got off places where I don't know where we were.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and the ocean was amazing.
Yeah.
I love the ocean. I love the sea.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I was going to ask, so if you were going to go, like you were going to go to have the ultimate me time by yourself.
Yes.
Would you go to the mountains? Would you go to the ocean? Would you go to the forest? Would you go to the city? Where's your happy
Is
place?
it only a one-day thing, or is it a week thing?
Say for a week.
OCD. Hey, what was that?
For a whole week. Just
The ocean.
by yourself.
By myself. The ocean. The ocean is my home.
Yep.
Whenever I need some space to think, to restore my sense of inner peace, and to have clarity, the sea is my home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think that's why I'm in Australia. We're in an island.
That's right. It's a
And
big
Melbourne
island.
has got one of the best beaches in the world. I believe that. When you come to Melbourne, I'll take you on a tour. I'll take you along the Great Ocean Road, Dominic.
Let's do it. I'm on my way.
All right. We should do it, those filter background. Go, okay, yeah.
And there you go. Click.
I know. In 2D.
I'll tell you my almost died in Sydney story sometime.
You almost died. Okay, tell me.
No, I really did. I really did. I almost drowned in Sydney. Well, we were north. We were just north of Sydney in a resort, and I was out with my two friends. We were floating, talking, and we started to float out. And I said, guys, I think we should turn around because it was a distance to get back. And they're like, no, we're good. I said, I'm going to go back because I was getting tired. So I started to slowly swim toward the shore. And as I got closer,
the ripples. No.
Yeah, well, what was happening was I was getting tumbled over.
By the waves.
With the waves.
With the waves.
And I got hit on the bottom, and I was gasping for air.
Yeah.
And I just remember that if I didn't give it everything that I had in that moment, that I was not going to make it to the shore because I was swallowing water. And so somehow I got the energy and I just kept pushing off the bottom, and I got tumbled a couple more times, got some air. And I finally get to the water where and I'm on my knees. I'm just like, oh, and my wife is sitting there on the shore reading a book. Nothing. She wasn't even paying it. She couldn't tell. She couldn't see anything. She wasn't paying attention to me.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I almost drowned."
Wow.
They didn't tell me you're supposed to swim at an angle to the shore. You're supposed to swim with the wave, not
again, direct. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
But now you do, and you live to tell.
Yeah. So
you can be a lifesaver now. You're qualified.
That's right. Oh my goodness. I could sit here all day. This is so much fun.
Me too.
Listen to all your stories and stuff. We've only been on for 83 minutes.
Is that all?
Doesn't it seem like it's
10 minutes?
Yeah, time flies. I'm going to ask you one more question, then we'll go.
Please do.
Okay, so pretend that we're doing this little show, right? And it's being broadcast through Facebook, and let's say that every single person on the planet is watching us. So it's 8.75 billion people are like this.
Yeah.
They're glued, and they're waiting for you to give them some sort of a message or some words of wisdom.
Oh,
what would you say if you had the attention of humanity? Okay?
If I just have one message, my life message.
What would you say to them? All the people on the planet that are watching.
Eyeing us, watching us, having this. Okay, if there was one life message that I would love to share with the world and leave with the world, dream until your dreams come true. It's true. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dream until your dreams come true.
Do you know, can I add on to that?
Absolutely.
One last thing. I have a personal mission, and I've only written it a week ago, and I'd love to share this.
Please.
My personal mission, my personal mission. Yeah. I said, everyone that I meet, they will leave with a smile.
It's working.
Every space I enter will have a positive impact. And on that note, I just want to say thank you, Dominic, for giving me this opportunity. I am so grateful to have this time to spend with you, this space to create an amazing conversation. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And it's been a pleasure. And I appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, me too. You're in my bedroom. Oh my God.
It wasn't me.
Do you? Oh my gosh. We gotta laugh. We gotta see the funny side of things, right?
Well, let's do it again, and let's come up with some other.
Hold on, that didn't come out right, Dominic. That did not come out right, sweetheart.
What?
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again, baby. No, but if we have a topic, because I like to do topic discussions.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Pick, like a word, right? You just talked about your personal mission or like a purpose, right? So pick a word, and we'll just explore that word.
Shall we?
Since you're a psychotic person,
and you're psychic and psychotic too.
I'm a little bit nuts.
Oh my God! You know what's the word that comes up?
What?
Adventure.
Adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's explore that.
Let's do that. Yeah, that's great.
That's so random.
You just that link that I sent you so that you could schedule this. Oh wait, we had to switch it up manually. So pick a date, and we'll get it on the calendar. Maybe in a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Adventures.
Yeah.
Okay.
And why it's so important to our life.
Ooh, yeah, we have to put in context.
The importance of adventure.
The importance of adventure. Yes. Let's do that.
Done.
High five.
Okay. All right. So I know I've said the last question, but did you, like when you mentioned Mexico and your restaurant Amore Mexico, is there that connection there that's how it all started?
No. Nothing is linear. It's so disjointed, but there's a reason. Things happen for a reason.
Okay. And Alan has a Mexican background, or
no? You know, people always ask me, right? Seriously, if I have $1 for every time I answer this question, I will be rich. I'll be a gazillionaire. You know what's the number one question? Hey,
what?
Are you Mexican? and you know what's my response?
I can only assume no.
I said, no, I'm not Mexican, but I'm 40% Patron. And Patron is a tequila, right? You know
that. Of course, I don't remember what Patron is.
Oh, I don't assume either, Dominic.
I've drank enough of that stuff for 2 people.
But it's good.
It's nice. It's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
All right. Be well. Have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Pleasure's all mine.
Okay.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Huh?
Adventures. Done. I'll see you in 2 weeks or wherever.
2 weeks. We'll get it on the calendar. When I'm going to push the button and it's going to shut off, but we're still going to be here.
Okay.
Okay. So for all of you who hung in there to watch this whole thing.
Hey, you know what you should do, Dominic? You should have another show called Behind the Scene.
Behind the scenes like this. Okay.
Yeah. And with the bloopers, that's the fun bit. I mean, this is fun too.
We're not going to do any editing. Like I said, I don't do editing. It's all live stuff.
This is perfect.
It's real and raw.
Real time, real people. I like. All
Perfect.
right.
All right. 2 weeks.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you all later. Have fun. Remember to stay inspired. And if you get caught, deny it.